Welcome to Selling Salt Lake's podcast, Real Estate Real Talk. We're so glad you're with us today. I'm also joined by Kelly Tita, fabulous real estate broker, and also a veteran. Kelly, thank you for your service.
I loved it.
I want to hear a little bit about that. I know you were in the Navy, so tell us about your term. Is that what they call it? Your term of service?
Yes.
Good
you
enough?
could say that. Yes.
Okay.
I actually signed up to serve 8 years. I joined the right before my senior year in high school, so it was August of 2001. And then September 11th happened in 2001.
Oh.
And so we started training immediately. There was talks of drafts, and since we were already signed up and signed our name away, they immediately had us every weekend prepare to go into the Navy
So
early.
you're still in high school at this point?
Yes, I did finish high school. Yeah, so I signed up at 17. My parents had to sign saying that I could serve.
But you didn't intend to go until you graduated the following spring?
I didn't intend to go, but there was benefits to signing up early. I got to go in higher pay and all those things.
Oh, nice.
So,
okay.
Yeah. I can cut my 4 years of active duty into two different services completely. The first 2 years I served aboard the Ronald Reagan. I brought crude oil on. My command's job was to bring crude oil on board the aircraft carrier and convert it into JP5 fuel, which is what we use to fuel the jet craft.
Oh, wow.
So the aircraft carrier doesn't take fuel. Mine didn't anyways. We were in Nimitz class, so it was nuclear powered. So the fuel on board was used for the jet craft.
Oh, and you took on crude oil and converted it on board
board.
So like as needed. We
Always had some in our tank, so we brought it on board. It immediately went down to the lowest deck. We were purifying it, getting it ready. We had quality assurance on board, and then pumped it up to the pump rooms, and the pump rooms were the ones that would put it on the jet craft.
That is fascinating.
Yeah.
Wow, I had no idea that was a process that took place on an aircraft carrier.
Well, it makes sense, right? Like aircraft carriers are floating cities, so everything you would need in a normal city is what you would need on an aircraft carrier.
Oh, yeah.
And we can go more detail on that another time. But
That's true. That is so interesting. Okay, so that was your first 2 years.
Yeah.
And then what?
So then, because I went in as an undesignated airman, that's why I was joined to the air wing part of the aircraft carrier and then put into the JP Fuel section. And then I designated as a paralegal yeoman. So they didn't have, the paralegal rate went away, so they rated me as a yeoman, but specialized in legal work.
Oh, very interesting. And that really helped you later on, as you've been developing your career, to understand contracts and things like that?
Yes, so I was put on an NAB base with only 150 sailors, special warfare, actually, the SEALs and the SWICs. So total different part of the Navy, total different type of command. But it was really fun because I did handle all of their power of attorneys, all of their wills, or if they had any type of special pay that needed to get submitted to our personnel, then I would make sure that got done. So I loved that. Those were my favorite 2 years. Yeah.
Oh, that is so interesting. So you got out of the Navy after 4 years, were officially a veteran at that point. And I know it took a little while before you bought your first home, but when you did you use your veterans benefits?
Yes, so I actually married my husband in the Navy. We met in the military, got out, and we ended up using his VA loan first.
Okay.
And immediately, actually. I was still in when he used his to purchase the home we're in now. So, and I have now used my VA loan as well, my benefit as well. But when my first benefit I used as a veteran was I used my GI Bill to go to college.
Oh.
So another great benefit for veterans is depending on how you sign up, they'll pay for you to go to college, and I took advantage of that and got my degree in business finance. So
Wonderful.
First, and that's kind of where I lean more towards learning about these loan products is because I'm curious. My mind is very number oriented, and when it comes to numbers, I can decipher loan products pretty easy to tell which one's better or not for my client.
Well, and that's a great segue into our official topic for today, which is VA loans. Why should you get one? Who is eligible? And what are the benefits of it? So let's dive right into that. You say your husband used his VA benefit, or his, is it just called a VA benefit to get the loan? One of the VA benefits.
Yeah.
Okay.
And not every veteran qualifies. You do have to serve, the National Guard guys or Army Reserve guys might not understand this part as much, but I believe you have to serve 6 months active duty total. So if it's 1 month active duty somewhere, or
it can combine.
You can. So if you go 20 years in the reserves and you don't serve 6 months active duty, which is really unlikely, then you still might not qualify for your VA benefits.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I did 4 years active duty full time, 4 in reserve, and so I qualify. And you also have to be discharged honorably.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that you would have to have done a great job to get the benefits. And so when you decide you're a veteran, you've served our country, and now you get some benefits for having done that. And one of them is the ability to get what's called a VA loan. And so why is that good for veterans?
Well, the VA loan is probably one of my favorite benefits. I mean, college is a big one to top.
It's a big one, yeah.
But a VA loan gets so many clients into the housing market before they would be able to qualify any other way. So the people who would get a VA loan could be active duty as long as they did their 6 months active duty, or a veteran with at least 6 months in, and any surviving spouses. If you've lost your spouse while serving active duty, you also qualify for the VA loan. So a VA loan benefit is, we also kind of need to break it into 2 different parts.
Okay.
So there is VA, and I really love this topic because one, when we're in the military, they don't teach us about our VA loan benefit at all.
Oh.
They might have mentioned it, but when you're 21 and getting out and not truly understanding, you totally don't understand.
It's not part of your frame of mind.
And you just think, oh, benefit. You don't think what that means and how it's different than the other options out there. Most mortgage originators do not understand it either, and it's no fault to theirs. There's several great loan originators that just do it once every other year because only about 5% of our buyers are veterans or use their VA loan benefit. And then really the VA doesn't tell us about it because they're not the originators. So that's such the misnomer, and I really think that when us veterans are going out there to get a loan, or when we actually just tell anybody that we're a veteran, we're constantly being bombarded by calls about our VA loan benefit. And those spammers are calling themselves the VA. And so veterans really need to be aware that the VA does not give the loan.
Right. The VA guarantees the loan, but you have to get it through a separate mortgage originator. And really a lot of credit unions, banks, mortgage companies can provide a VA loan, but the VA itself is not reaching out to you. So if you get a solicitation saying, we're the VA, we want to give you a mortgage loan, that be very leery of that.
The spammer, maybe they are a legitimate company, but they're calling you, telling them that your VA is wrong. They are obviously unaware as well.
Yeah.
And so, but the benefits of having a VA loan, being guaranteed by the VA, is huge. It's like going out to one of our banks or other loan mortgage originators and getting a 25% down loan, even though you only have to put down 5%. You only have to put down 0%.
Yeah.
You can put more than 0% down if you want, and there are advantages to that, but you don't have to.
So that's one of the most important benefits of a VA loan, 0 down. So if you're a veteran who's eligible for a VA loan, you can get a VA loan with 0 down. And when you're talking about the 25%, it's like getting a loan with 25%. The VA guarantees that 25%, which means you don't have to have mortgage insurance, right?
Right. No mortgage insurance, better rates.
Better rates.
If any buyer puts more than 20% down, you get a better rate. You get the more premium rate. you don't have to, the qualifications are way low. So the FICO score does not matter as much. It matters. The loan originator still wants to get paid back, but they're very relaxed on your credit score. The debt to income ratio is calculated very differently. You're able to qualify more with the VA loan, even though you are putting less down. It would be as if you're putting 20% down, maybe, you know. So there are a lot of intricacies about it.
It's complicated.
It is a complicated loan. And that's where you really want to work with somebody who knows it. You want to be able to work with somebody who knows it. Your agent doesn't necessarily need to know how to do your loan. I, again, am different, where I'm a veteran myself and enjoy the finance part of things. But you need a loan officer that knows the VA loan. That's very important.
Yeah, that is very important. It's good. You've got experience matters always, but maybe especially in something so intricate and complicated here. And do we know mortgage officers who know VA loans? Yes,
we do.
we do. So if you're a veteran, we can hook you up.
Yeah. So I have actually a few stories where I have helped, just with my own knowledge, helped veterans who was planning on using a VA loan. They wanted a new construction, which is abundant here in Utah. So we go talk with the new construction builder, and they require them to get pre-qualified with their lender, but their lender's not actually able to qualify them. Has nothing to go against their lender. It's just not everyone understands the loan product. So I'm explaining either to their lender or go to a different loan officer that I know could qualify them and use that to get them into that new construction home. And it helps a ton. And even in that case where their preferred lender cannot qualify them, but my lender could qualify them, I was also able to get the incentives as well.
Oh, see that, and that's when you hire Kelly, and you're a veteran, and she knows all the ins and outs. She can get it done and done better than somebody else could.
Yeah, I have had I've had to problem solve before with even the loan officers that I would suggest that have great knowledge in VA loans, because there are little intricacies. Like I said, there's not a debt to income ratio. There's what we call residual income, which is the leftover money that you would have after you paid all of your bills. And that really goes on the number of dependents you have. So if you have one dependent, it's less than if you have 3 kids and now you have 4 dependents. So that changes. But one of my favorite examples is we couldn't qualify for a Rambler home, even though it had a finished basement, because the basement doesn't qualify. So we couldn't qualify for a 2-story home, but we were able to qualify for a split level because the basement didn't count in the residual income number.
That's so interesting, and that leaves me with a lot of questions. I'll be honest, I don't totally understand that, but Kelly does. So she is your go-to for that.
Yeah, and I could try to explain it a little bit better, but it's just the thought of what the utilities and cost are to keep those that space. And in Utah, we have several Ramblers or split levels that basement space doesn't count. So.
And is that good? It doesn't count
towards
against the residual income?
Right.
Oh, okay, so that's good.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. But the 2-story house, it does count against the residual
Everything
income.
above grade.
Okay, because it's harder to cool and heat.
Yes.
Oh, got it.
And it really does make a difference, because sometimes, it doesn't whether it's a veteran or not, sometimes my first-time home buyers are really just on the cusp of qualifying or not qualifying.
Yeah.
And so $30 to $40 difference a month could make a difference in getting a house or not.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I mean, every little trick to make the numbers work in their favor is really valuable, helpful information. Another benefit about the VA loan is it's assumable.
Assumable. So assumable is something that we haven't really dealt with for, I think, since the early 80s until 2022. And the reason why is because our rates never really got worse. We were always able to refinance into either a better rate or purchase into a home at a rate that we would feel more comfortable with. but they've really resurfaced in the last couple of years. So VA loans, veterans are given an entitlement, which is another intricacy to the loan, which is probably getting into the weeds here a little bit. That entitlement is held up with every VA loan you get. So if you're a veteran seller and you want to offer having an assumable loan, because that is a great benefit to offer, you want to make sure that the person that's buying your home is also a veteran, because they can take that entitlement on and free up your entitlement. And your entitlement matters for future purchases.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is a really good point to bring up. If you have a VA assumable loan and you allow another veteran to assume your loan, then they can take on the VA portion of the entitlement, which means your entitlement is freed up to go buy another home with a VA loan. But if you sell your VA home loan, if you let somebody assume it who's not a veteran, then your entitlement stays with that loan. And so then you can't use it again to buy another VA.
You can,
to get another
you just
VA
won't
loan.
have the whole amount.
Okay, so it's limited. It becomes diminished.
Yes.
Okay.
So your entitlement goes off of your first purchase and can reset once you have no VA loans. But if you have more than one VA loan, the entitlement is less and less and less, which means that you have less that you can qualify for. So you can still qualify for purchases of home, but that VA loan amount is less.
Okay,
Interesting. So you need to bring more money to the table.
That makes sense. I did have a client earlier this year assume a VA loan, and she is not a veteran. And we did have to have a letter from the veteran saying, that's fine, I don't need my entitlement going forward. So it stayed with the loan. But the benefit to the seller, even though they didn't keep their entitlement, is they sold their house for a higher price than they would have been able to with current interest rates. So what happened is they sold the house for, say, like $900,000. They still owed about $450,000 on their VA loan. So my client came in with cash, about $450,000 in cash, and they took on that $450,000 VA loan that was already there at an interest rate of 2.5%. And because they took on that low loan amount with that low interest rate, they were willing to pay more for the house. So the veteran netted more in their pocket because that situation occurred that way.
Yeah. So a VA loan is assumable, which is great. If you're planning on needing the entitlement later, which you don't always need it.
You don't always need it. Then
it is worth having another veteran assume it.
Yeah.
But you don't have to. Anybody can assume a VA loan. And then for sellers, it's really great to sell to veteran buyers that are getting a VA loan. If they have that pre-qualification, the qualifications are harder. They go through more steps at making sure they get qualified. And so you have a buyer that is less likely to cancel due to financing.
And that's a great benefit.
Yeah.
That's a great benefit. What would you say to people who have the idea in their minds that VA appraisals come back low?
It's a hard one for me because I do think that they historically come back low. I, as a buyer agent or a listing agent, is not scared of it one bit because they have the process where they'll tell you, it's called Tidewater, which does not matter. They'll tell you, we're not able to find value. Can you help us support that value? And I write up a whole report of why I think it's valued the way it should be valued. And normally, I would say, not always, the appraiser is able to see my notes and my data and will either find additional value or at least help us understand why.
Yeah.
And no other loan allows you to do that.
Yeah.
Even we are combating those appraisals after the fact, where the VA loan, you do it before the appraisal even comes in.
Which is really helpful. That's really nice. Yeah.
And I mean, they're trying to protect the veteran.
Sure.
They're trying to protect the veteran on the value because they're putting zero down, even though it's guaranteed. It's as if they're putting 25% down. The whole VA loan is made to protect the veteran.
And the whole process is?
The whole process. I mean, there are some times, my most recent VA appraisal came back with, it was a home built in 2017, but the back door, the man door, woman door to the garage.
The human door.
The human door needed to be painted, which was unusual.
Oh, the trim around it?
Yeah, and it wasn't a VA loan. It wasn't an old home. It wasn't built with lead-based paint. So that one was a head scratcher for me. I'm not quite sure why the appraiser did that, and he never really commented on why, but the seller was fine with just painting it.
Oh,
so
that's good.
They're doing it to protect the veteran, but hopefully never at the risk of losing the home.
Right. Yeah, that's always a balance. And I do also believe there is a process where if a veteran really wants a home, but there's some kind of snafu with the financing or the appraisal or something, where you can call into the VA and say, hey, can we just make this work somehow?
There is.
Yeah.
Yes. So the condition, as long as the buyer's okay with those conditions, they can ask for a waiver, so to speak. Like, we understand that this back door needs to get painted according to the appraiser, but I'm okay with it and I'm willing to paint it after I close. Can you please go ahead and waive that part? And that's the VA. That's a phone call that you can make. It's not a process. It's just a waiver. So it actually is, and not very many veterans know that, and not very many loan officers know that. So it's same with assumable. If you're having issues with the assumable, the VA can assume them separately than the mortgage lender.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So in this way, you can kind of bypass the mortgage lender, go right to the VA. The VA says to the mortgage lender, you know what, this is fine. And then the loan can proceed.
Yes.
So that's a really powerful tool for a veteran to have.
And the veteran, again, like I said, we're not ever told this stuff. So we need to be educators to them. And the loan officers need to be educators to them too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Kelly. I think we've all learned so much valuable information about VA loans and how they work, and how I'm really regretting that I'm not a veteran right now. Is it too late? Yeah, probably too late. But thank you so much for doing your part. We really appreciate that. And we appreciate your expertise and that you were willing to come in and share it with all of us today. If somebody needs to get a hold of you, what is the best way to do that?
Just call me. My phone number is 801-651-2598. Happy to help all buyers, not just veteran buyers.
Yeah.
But I especially like helping veteran buyers.
Oh, good. That's wonderful. And we'll put your phone number and your socials on the screen so people can have a reference of those. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and LinkedIn and Snapchat and Discord. I'm just making those up. We're not on all those. But follow us on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and LinkedIn. And we will see you next time. Thanks for joining us today.